Welcome, everybody, to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is January the 5th, 2025 at 4:07 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I am joined by the one and only, the Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver. Brandon, how are you?
Dealing with Snow Apocalypse 2025.
It is, yes. So if you're listening to our show and you don't know by now, Brandon and I both live in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. I don't even know if are we considered Ohio River Valley or no, or
The Tri-State.
tri-state. Okay, tri-state area
Tri-State.
here. And yeah, there is snow moving and going, and it's going to be going for the next 23 hours, and it's been going for 5 hours, and it's just going to be snow, 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 and more snow.
9 o'clock tonight, we're supposed to get between 1 and 2 inches per hour.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Kroger shelves, because I had to stop by there this morning to buy food for someone else, and because I enjoy helping people, and I went in there and I had already stocked up a couple days prior, but I went in there this morning, Brandon, and a lot of the shelves were empty. I have never seen Kroger shelves look that empty as I did today. It was crazy. I mean, I feel like Kroger makes, or whoever you want to grocery shop with, Walmart or whoever, makes a killing during these snowstorms off of food sales. Bread, eggs, milk, gone.
And toilet paper.
No eggs. Like, you could not find eggs anywhere. Because I went grocery shopping on Friday, no, hardly any eggs. All right. But I'm just buying for myself. I'm an empty nester now, and I just needed, 12 eggs. Not a big deal. I found my 12 eggs. I was okay with it. But it was majority empty, 90% empty on Friday before. Today, forget about it. If you didn't
Yeah,
already have eggs, they're just gone.
gone.
Crazy. Toilet paper, Brandon, I know you said that jokingly and, satirically, but yeah, that was actually fully stocked. Bread, milk, and eggs, gone.
Just
Crazy.
DoorDash.
You can't DoorDash in this weather.
You
Nobody's
get
driving.
DoorDash.
Nobody's
Yeah,
DoorDashing.
you can.
Nobody's
Somebody
DoorDashing.
will do
Nobody's
it.
driving.
If
Who's
somebody wants
driving
to
in
pay
this?
a bunch of money, they'll do it.
Well, I mean, yeah, you got some entrepreneurial attitudes. You think they can actually drive in this weather? Yeah, okay, sure, I'll give you that.
Fine, then force them to do it. Order Domino's. Watch them slide into your driveway.
Crash into your
Yeah.
garage there,
Something very
right?
masochistic about that. I like it.
It's like, I'll go pick up that food for you. Sure, $100 surcharge.
And they
I'm
get
sure
to my
somebody's
door.
willing to pay it.
Here's your $1.50 tip. I was feeling rich today.
Oh
Very
man,
joking.
yeah, this snowstorm is power outages. That's going to be happening throughout. It's going to continue all the way into Tuesday for the United States before it finally heads offshore into the Atlantic, all the way into Tuesday. DC is going to get hit pretty hard. Um,
Now,
Philadelphia is going to get hit.
the whole tipping thing, like I'm notorious for being a good tipper, by the way. So I want to put that out there. Actually, me and my girlfriend have been together for almost 10 years now, and we moved out of our last place. We bought this house about, I don't know, 8 years ago, somewhere around there. When we moved, our local Papa John's found out we were moving, and the last day we ordered a pizza, they got us a card. Everybody in the store signed it, said how bad they were going to miss us.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Brandon, that's good. That's a nice thing. It means you're a good tipper. It also probably has contributed to some of that bigger belly we have going on.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have
I'm
it
in
too. I
between
have it too,
sizes.
man.
I need to eat more pizza. I'm in between sizes right now, and
Oh,
it's
look at you losing weight.
more weight.
Nice. Are you intentionally doing that for 2025, or it's just you just lost a few pounds
No,
recently?
I didn't lose any pounds. I'm gaining more weight
Oh, you're
so that
gaining
I can
more.
up a size,
Okay,
you know, like a
gotcha.
wrestler. Like, wrestlers do it. Why can't I? They got to go up a weight class. I got to
You're
go up
not
a
a
size.
wrestler, man. You're not a wrestler. Anyways, people didn't come to hear about this. They came to hear about stocks and investment and financial advice, and we have that for you right here on today's show. We got a good show, I believe, coming. I might disagree with Brandon about one thing he mentioned, but let's get into it because the disagreements tend to make for good shows, I think, because we get to really explain our ideas. All right, rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. You hear the live back and forth, the bicker and the banter right here on the show for you. Brandon, take it away.
It's always fun for me when we argue because I get to come back on the show a couple months later and then gloat about how I was right.
Whoa, not always, not always, not
Yeah,
always.
ignore China. Don't listen to any of the China episodes, and then that's right.
And
Uh,
I've never been known to gloat, hence our chat groups that I'm in.
so my stock picks for 2025, and really only have a couple of them right now, and I'm still looking at Meta Platforms. Meta Platforms, I think it'll continue its outperformance. I think Nvidia might also, but the valuation's so high. I don't know how long that's going to go for, but just historically speaking, it's kind of a safe bet to pick the stocks that outperformed last year and to continue into the current year. But I also would put out Nike out there just because they're undergoing a turnaround plan. I think the next couple of quarters are probably going to be ugly for them as they spend on trying to turn things around. But I think that company has a huge potential upside. Look, the demand for Nike, and I know we didn't talk about this prior to the show. I didn't even tell you I was going to bring this up, but the demand for Nike has never gone down. The problem has been the no, it really hasn't. Where it's
We
at,
talked about the running shoes. The running shoes has gone down. They've lost the run into newer brands,
yeah, but the
right?
problem was is that they pulled it out of from where the consumer was. So with trying to go more direct to consumer and not having as many launches in store, they lost a lot of revenue like that. But look, they're still and and I mean this when I say this. This is actually means something. They're the number one stolen brand in the world because they're highly sought after on the secondary market because the demand is still there for Nike. So they just need to get their SG&A costs back under control because those rose and hurt earnings. They need to get their profitability back under control and they need to get back to where the consumers are. And I think this company has a big upside going. I would say give it until 2027, but start adding into it now. That's what I would do. And then just know that there's some downside possibly coming over the next couple of quarters. But I said that with General Electric too, and I was wrong. They turned it around much faster than I expected. So who knows? But I think it's undervalued right now. So I think buy it. But I also think Meta platforms right now being at a fair value, I think their fair value is going to continue to rise.
So I like Meta because of their VR aspect. Their games that they have come out with the past 6 months
Yeah.
are head and shoulders above all, a lot of the games they've had in the years prior. They took a big leap with this new headset, the MetaQuest 3. It just jumped it forward. Great games out there like the Batman Arkham Knight, among others that you can list. The latest Asgard Wrath game was amazing. The NFL has this. They've come out with 4 different NFL games, and finally the last I think the fourth one, the NFL Pro Era 2, has really found a good finally version of this. The first two were awful. NFL Pro Era 1 wasn't bad, but Pro Era 2, I think they finally got the hang of it. So I see a lot of growth there in the gaming section.
Yeah, it's funny because we got a MetaQuest 3 and I've been going into the Horizon events and stuff, and there's all kinds of people around me now, and I can tell they're all new to it because they don't know what to do with their hands and arms.
Yeah,
And if you've ever
I,
been
I
in the Horizon events and you see people moving their arms all around, they have no clue what to do with it. So they're all new to it. So I think there's a lot of good growth coming for that as well. Reality Labs was one of the things that people were criticizing Meta for all the money that they were spending into it. But if they could turn that profitable in the next couple of years, the huge upside for that is amazing as well.
oh yeah. 100%. They have a great opportunity here. MetaQuest 3, like I said, big jump in quality. It's a tremendous product. You just got to get other people catching on. I think there's going to be even a lot more growth as people realize the potential here of what you can do with these.
Yeah, and it's nearly quadrupled in value over the past 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, Instagram Reels. I mean, Instagram is going to definitely profit from a TikTok ban. People are going to have to do Instagram and Instagram Reels because that's the next biggest one. And so you're going to see that switch if this ban goes through on TikTok. That's going to be a big catalyst for Meta.
and I hate that, but you're right. I don't like it politically. I'm a libertarian. I think people should be able to use whatever app they want to use as long as it's legal, right? Um, and I guess they're going to try to make TikTok illegal, but it's not going to be for the right reasons. What do they say? They say that the Chinese military is going to. Why do
Uh,
they care? I'm home at 6 o'clock or
you know what?
7:30 every day, and
You
then
know,
the Chinese military somehow uses that. Brandon Beaver's home in Trenton, so now we're going to nuke the United States. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's
you know what?
nonsensical.
I get where you're going with this, and this is not a political show though, so we're going to keep it to finances here.
It's not. It's
Financially, I
not.
think
But look,
Meta's going to win because of it.
all all of the information that they're saying that China is getting from TikTok can be gathered from the CIA World Fact Book, which is published online for everybody to see anyways.
Well, there you go. There you go. So I mean, you have a good
It doesn't
case
make any
for
sense.
that. But I like to be a capitalist here. And if the ban goes through, Meta's going to jump up.
Yeah. All right. So I agree. And I think even with the idea or with the people thinking that it's going to go through, it's going to boost because of that. But Mark Zuckerberg's focus on efficiency in 2023 led to a 62% rise in operating earnings. um, they're continuing to invest in AI, I think, in the right ways. I think that they're going to find a way to monetize Llama, which is, the Facebook's AI chat that they have there. I think that they're going to utilize that for advertising. They'll find ways to make money with it. Q3 revenue increased by 19% to $40.6 billion dollars for a company that is already established and already mature. That's really good. Um, a lot of analysts are saying a price target of $750. I'm not sure that I would put any weight on that, but it's, around 600 right now.
It's going to
Uh,
hit that eventually. So you could just
Eventually,
throw
yeah.
that price target out there with no end date.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I'm more than happy with sitting on my, Meta stock that I bought back in 2022. And I'd be fine with people just dipping into this right now because this is becoming an absolute behemoth.
Like it
So,
wasn't already.
well, with advertising it was, but where it's gone in the past 2 years has been spectacular. They've went from being a social media advertising company to rivaling Google, and in some cases surpassing Google when it comes to technology and usage. I mean, daily active users has continued to go up, despite the fact that nobody thought that was even possible.
Right.
So,
Well, everybody thought, oh, Facebook, that's old, but yet everybody still has a Facebook.
yeah,
We just use it differently now.
yep,
Yeah, but you forget that Meta owns Facebook. They own Instagram. They own the Oculus. They own a multiple big brands that people aren't aware that they own all these. It's all under one house.
yep. Yeah, so I mean, I'm fine with people doing, and they get the big data center in Louisiana that we were talking about. Um, Huge data center there, which leads us into the next thing, which is the real electrification of the United States. We were talking about GE Vernova. You mentioned Cooler, and we talked about a couple of other companies. By the way, good job getting Cooler last week because that thing skyrocketed.
It did. It's sky. No, 2 weeks ago, I said, look, it might take a quick dip down the first day or so, and then it's going to jump up, and it did exactly that. It took a dip down, and then it jumped way up. But that is credit to Nick Young, one of our contributors every now and then. Yeah, he's excited about that one.
Yeah.
I would
And,
be too
and
if I
continuing,
owned as much as he did at the cost basis he does. I would be excited as well.
yeah, and continuing on that theme, Microsoft just announced plans to invest $80 billion in 2025 for AI-enabled data centers. What's going to power that?
Yeah, right. GE Vernova is gonna make a killing off all of these. Not to mention, Nvidia comes out with new chips all the time, and I feel like they do that just so they could keep the spending from these big companies keep going because they're gonna say, "Hey, you need our newest chip because it's twice as good as the last one." So Microsoft has to fork out another 5-10 billion every year to Nvidia, no matter what.
Yeah. And Microsoft's AI business is on track to surpass $10 billion in revenue, annual revenue, which marks it as the fastest growing segment in the company's history. Isn't that crazy?
Nice. That is crazy. But they said it was this is what was coming. And Microsoft's stock price has been pretty flat last year. It was up a little bit, but it's been right around 400 to 420 for
Yeah.
most of the year. So I mean, if they're now making bigger strides, that might be one to grab because everybody else took big jumps up last year. Microsoft had like a 10 or 15% jump up, and everybody else was in the 50s and 60%. So, I mean, that might be one to look at if you're looking at the big seven.
I wonder how much, because I look at the big seven and I do worry about a pullback at least in Apple, for example, with the new administration coming in, the possibility of new tariffs. I wonder how much that would affect Microsoft it would even be if it would even be enough to move the needle. Because I think that
How,
Facebook,
so how is Apple affecting Microsoft? That's my question.
no, not Apple. I mean the tariffs,
Oh, the tariffs.
because it would be an outsized effect on Apple again,
Hmm. I
as
mean,
it was.
it's if I mean, there's so many different tariffs that have been thrown out there. Like this tariff is going to be put in place. That tariff is going to be put in place. This tariff is going to be put in place. Let's wait and see what actually happens. Because I could say, well, if we go by the small end of tariffs versus the big end, it's not going to have hardly any effect on Microsoft. But if you go to the big far end that I've heard of extreme out there of people saying all these lists of tariffs is going to happen, that's going to have some effect because Microsoft, gets some parts and supplies from overseas. So,
Right, right. But Meta, I think, would be a benefactor just because of this issue with ByteDance and
yep.
the possibility of TikTok being sold either to a U.S. company and being dislodged from ByteDance or being blocked completely in the United States, altogether.
Right. I mean, and here's my thing too. Like, I mean, if we're talking about like, what are you going to buy and sell based off of, whose administration is in power at that time? What happens when the Trump administration takes over and maybe they allow Nippon Steel to buy U.S. Steel? Are you buying U.S.
They're not
Steel now?
gonna. It's not gonna happen. It's already been blocked. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna appeal it, but I really don't see Trump diverting from that. And I know we're not a political show, but he's his policies are very nationalist in the making, right? Like they're very nationalist at
But
their
he said he was open to it because of what Nippon was promising.
okay.
Because Nippon was promising that the Pittsburgh area would the mills there would stay open. That if they bought it, they would promise that would still happen.
Okay.
And so that without Nippon's investment, U.S. Steel's going to have to close some of that.
Right.
And so there was a compromise being talked about, being made. But now, I mean, those are things to question if we're going to go down that road. These are things to question. But as far as the big seven go, let's bring it back to that. The big seven, the one who's going to suffer the most is going to be Apple. But last time they did these tariffs, Apple got a what was it? I don't know what you would call it, like a pass. There's
Yeah.
exemptions being made. Apple got some exemptions being made for their products. And
Well,
so that
Tim Cook developed a really good relationship with Donald Trump.
yeah, and they've been meeting together a lot lately over the past month. And so that may happen again. So then it's not an issue.
Well, it would be in the case of a trade war popping up again, where the Chinese government already said the government can't use Apple phones, and then the U.S. government said well, U.S. government can't use anything from Hawaii, right? Which I don't think they were anyways. But then the U.S. government said nobody in the U.S. government can download TikTok. So that was also a thing. But if they go beyond that and the Chinese government starts limiting imports of Apple phones in order to
Imports.
strike back at the United States, I mean, it's possible, it could happen. Well, I
It's
know
not an import.
there's Dalton Foxconn, but yes, okay, you're right.
And Foxconn had one of its best quarters in a long time too. By the way, off topic. Back to topic. Apple, right?
Yeah.
If you read any articles over the past week, over the weekend, you would have seen that Apple actually sold a lot of their cell phones in China and in Asia at a discount over Q4,
Yeah.
and they sold more than they ever had. And so their sales of app, so now they have all these Apple phones over there in Asia that they didn't have before. And you're going to hope that people are going to buy into the Apple services, and so you're going to see a jump in that revenue and that top line number for Apple from that alone. So if the United States just stays flat, I still see a revenue growth for Apple in Q1.
Yeah, me too.
So I mean, I
I
don't
like
see
Apple.
Apple. I don't see Apple dipping down. But pre-show, you said Apple was going to dip down.
No, no, I do. I think it's going to be an entire correction of. I think we're overdue for a correction in the stock
So
market. I
it
think
was a
it'll
broader
be
correction, and you were
a
including
broader
Apple in it.
correction, yes. And if we have any inflationary pickups again or scares, and the Federal Reserve comes out and says higher for longer again, a lot of these tech companies are going to take a hit on their stock price, and I think at that point you buy Apple as a result. But I also think that the stock market became overbought. I know we didn't have the Santa Claus rally that we talked about on the show. That didn't really happen. That it
It
didn't.
sold.
But I think that there's going to be a correction. I think it's probably going to come in the next month or two, and it'll be a routine one. So it'll be an opportunity to buy. That's my opinion. I think that's what's going to happen, just because the stock market's overbought. And then if you have any inflation scares, that's going to tip it into correction territory, I think.
I don't think the market as a whole is overbought. Like just takes S&P 500. I don't think it's overbought as a whole. I think you have a couple stocks, individual, small percentage that are overbought, but they do make up a bigger chunk. If
Of the
you look
S&P
at the
5, yeah.
Dow, if you look at the Dow, the way it's made up, how it makes up, the percentage. Yeah, a few of those are overbought. If you look at the S&P 500, how it does it, I think it's going to be just fine. I don't see a correction in the S&P 500, Nasdaq. It's all how they do it. Like the Dow takes these 30 companies and equally distribute it, right? So if one out of 30 is dropping, that's just that percentage, versus the other percentage, and then it's hard to explain, and I'm trying to explain it, and I'm failing miserably. But the S&P 500 is equal. It's more. It's dollar amounts, volume amounts, dollar amounts,
I
and
mean,
so that it takes a
Magnif
different approach.
but
They do it differently.
Magnificent Seven was it was responsible for about 56% of the S&P 500 gains in the past 12 months.
But then
So
who left it throughout the year? There was a company that left the S&P 500 of the Mag 7 and went to the Dow,
out of the Magnificent
wasn't it?
Seven,
Yeah,
I don't
wasn't
think
it
it
Nvidia?
was.
Didn't Nvidia leave and go
No, I
to the
think it's
Dow?
still in the S&P 500. I think.
Hmm. I'm looking it up right now. Continue about Apple and your correction idea, because I want to know what data are you using for a correction, because I don't see a correction in Q1.
No, it's just an idea. It's just my thought. I don't have a data point for it. I just think that higher inflation problems, the scare of, a China trade war, um, anything and I don't think that we're going to really have significant higher inflation over the course of the next couple of years. So let's get that out of the way. But I do think that the market's going to have scares from time to time. And I think this year, although I do believe it'll be a good year for stocks, I think it's going to be extra choppy. I think we're going to have a lot of volatility this year with the tariffs, with the interest rates, with inflation. I think there's a lot on the docket here that could spook the market very easily into correction. And with China being center stage with the new administration, I think Apple will be a target for people to sell.
Hmm. Well, first things first, I was wrong. Nvidia is in the S&P 500. My bad. Second thing, I think the only thing that's going to spook the market is if we get out of the Trump administration, not what we did not expect. I think what if people bought and moved money around in December based on what we were expecting Trump would do. So we're expecting him to come out and be very crypto friendly, his administration, right?
Yeah.
So if they come out and they're not crypto friendly, well, then that's going to cause Bitcoin to drop, right?
Right.
So I think if we don't get what we expect, that's going to be a problem. But if we get what we expect, it's going to be just fine.
Okay. So
That
maybe
that's what I see.
more what I said and start buying into Apple now and then buy on dips. I think it
Well,
belongs in portfolios, but I'm trying to snipe it, and maybe I'd be wrong to snipe it.
I'm just,
Yes,
I mean, we're not always going to agree, Brandon, but that's just what I'm seeing, and I don't see any fundamental reason. Let's say inflation comes in a little hot, it's not going to come in a 1%, 100 basis points hot. It's going to come in like a maybe what 25 basis points hot. That's it.
yeah.
It's not going to come in a
So
lot. So I
I
mean,
think I think there's going to be a lot of people too that listen to this and say, "What catalyst do you have for Apple?" And I'm going to tell you none.
I just listed one.
I have no app. I
The
have no
Asia
catalyst.
revenue.
Yeah, the Asia revenue would be a good catalyst, but for me, it's Tim Cook. That's the only reason.
and
And that's the
and he's
only
meeting
reason.
with Trump.
Yeah, it's the only reason you need. Look, when this guy took over 13 years ago, the stock, the market cap for this stock was 350. Was it 350 million? I think it was. Let me look. No, 350 billion. 350 billion dollars, nearing 4 trillion right now.
Right.
Investors have to be happy with that
Yes.
in 13 years. That's incredible.
Yep.
So
In 13 years, BlackRock
Cook's,
probably did that last year.
Cook's leadership Cook's leadership has produced the most stock market value of any CEO to date, with Jensen Huang of Nvidia at number 2.
What? At two?
Yes.
At two? All right. Are we? Hold on. So he's going by actual uh, total
Years on
revenue
board.
number
Yeah.
wise, not percentage.
Well, that's not only that. No, I mean
If we go by percentage,
no, it's percentage.
Nvidia the
But
head. It's ahead of the table.
here's where I think this is a little bit maybe misleading. Cook's been at Apple for 13 and a half years. Jensen Huang founded Nvidia. He's been there longer. So he's not measuring for the last 13 and a half years against each other. He's measuring since they took over their roles. But that's still a spectacular stat for Tim Cook. It says a lot about him. I actually think Tim Cook is very underrated because he
Yeah.
lives in the shadow of Steve Jobs, even though now, in my opinion, Tim Cook has accomplished more,
There you
which is
go.
a
Well,
lot.
that's a big statement. That's a big statement.
It is. It is. But he was under the shadow of Steve Jobs, so I don't think people really recognize that. But he's been incredible for Apple.
All right.
And people keep questioning it. People keep saying market cap shrinking, not market cap, but their customer base is shrinking, iPhone sales shrinking, all the stuff never happens.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't because once you
But it
get
doesn't.
locked into the Apple ecosystem, you're locked in.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to choose whatever you want to do, and you're locked into that ecosystem. I like choices. I like freedom.
So the market
So
cap
that's why I
of
don't have
Apple,
Apple.
the market cap of Apple living at around $3.8 trillion, probably going to be the first company to hit the $4 trillion mark. Right now, the most valuable company on earth. And I know that scares a lot of people from buying it. Um, I'm making some calls here that I think are uncharacteristic for me because of the valuation of Apple, because
Right.
of the valuation of Meta. And I'm going on Meta, I'm going on momentum. On Apple, I'm going on a CEO, which that's not uncharacteristic for me, but it is, you know,
No.
I think they're very safe, both of
There you
them.
go. Awesome.
So what are we looking at 2025? What do you I mean, we kind of covered that a little bit. I mean, I'm thinking choppiness, but I still think at the end of the year it'll be a decent year for equities. And I'm kind of going against my gut. Go ahead. You got something to say. I see it.
I do. I do. I'm all right. 2025. Here's what I want to talk about this, man. I want to talk about a couple of different things. I know you have something you want to transition into and talk about, but mine kind of melds together with what you want to talk about, so let's just do it all together. I talked about this last year. I'm going to talk about it again this year. You're going to after I read this, just you could go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are. The January barometer. It is a rule of thumb that suggests the S&P 500's performance in January can indicate how the stock market will perform for the rest of the year. In 2024, the S&P rose 1.6% in January, which was a positive sign for the year according to the January barometer. Turned out to be correct. How it works, the January barometer suggests that if stocks are higher in January, they will likely be higher for the year. Conversely, if they're lower in January, they'll likely be lower for the year. The accuracy of this, how accurate is it? The Stock Traders Almanac says the January barometer has been accurate 84% of the time since 1950. Some even say that the first 5 days of January indicator can also be predictive of the year's performance.
Okay.
So I brought this up last year. I'm bringing it up again this year. You want to know how well we're going to do? Let's see how well we do in January for the S&P 500.
You were right and I was wrong. I thought
Yes.
recession was coming, which my gut still wants to say that because the yield curve has been so screwy for so long that I just feel like at some point in time it's got to hit the fan.
Well, I mean, here's one way to look at this as well is if the January barometer, which is right 84% of the time, if we have a positive January, but then we get a correction in February, you would also be right to buy on the correction
Yeah.
because it's going to go back up.
I'm also hearing, by the way, too, that the U.S. is set if we continue on the path we're going on, which we've been continuing on this path for 10 years of debt, that the U.S. is set to lose their AAA credit rating,
Yes.
which I thought we lost like 10 years ago.
We've lost it before. We haven't always maintained it.
Yeah.
So,
So
I mean,
that
we're
I
not
mean
worried.
that's going to lead to choppiness too. I don't care either. I really don't. I
I
mean, I
mean,
care about the debt,
look how
but I don't
fast
care about the
Argentina
credit.
turned their stuff around.
It's
It
not
just
completely.
takes
It's, I mean, it's not 100% turned around yet, but I think a lot of people are on board for the turnaround now that weren't a year ago.
Yeah, the index that you called last year has been called by analysts on, CNBC and Bloomberg over the past month, saying Argentina is still a good buy. Here's the index to buy. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that new president's awesome.
So there you go. Here's what I
Rock
want to get
solid.
into as we look into this year and what you want to invest with. So I have this article about Peter Lynch and his ideas for investing, right?
Oh God, stay away from Bitcoin and buy gold. Did I summarize it? Am I right?
So Peter Lynch, if you don't know who he is, he had an impressive 29% annualized return from 1977 to 1990. He's come out with many books over the years. One of his books is If You Can't Explain It to an 11-year-old in 2 minutes or less, Why Do You Own the Stock? You Shouldn't Own It.
Yeah, I agree.
That's actually a good book. Read it. Uh, so his career had a profound impact on American investment practices. 55% of Americans now holding stocks are either directly or through retirement accounts and mutual funds that he had a part of. Um,
He had a
you
radio
know,
program for a while too. But
yes, right. Yeah, he had the Magellan Fund, which was a huge fund, and it still guides people in fidelity. He's confronted hurdles, all kinds of things, right? So, he's had a very successful career. Even though he's had, I'm going to read from this article, despite his numerous triumphs, Lynch has also confessed to making errors, notably in the technology sector. However, he is of the view that these mistakes have been counterbalanced by his profitable investments, which is what I always say. I don't get everyone right, but, most of the time I do. Lynch has been quoted as saying, if you invest only in index, you'll never beat it. If you buy today's widespread notion that stock market returns would be generally lower in the future, brush up on your stock picking skills is wise.
yep.
So how do we brush up on our stock picking skills? Well, I'm going to read from another author, very famous investor here, and I'm going to read from this article this person wrote, How to Grade a Potential Stock Investment.
Oh, that's me.
right? So you knew it right away, huh? So in this one, this author writes, with the tons of new traders and investors that have started buying stocks, there's a growing misconception that over time individual stocks go up. It's exaggerated by the fact that indexes do tend to go up over time. The movement of stock mostly equated to the movement of individual stocks over set periods of time because the indexes are weighted and reweighted periodically. So it goes in, and if you read this article, which I'm going to link when I post about this in our Instagram or TikTok or what have you, you go on here. You use he gives you a list here, Brandon. I don't know if you're aware of it, but the author here gives you a list to grade the company of things to look at, such as I'm going to read this off because people are listening. They want to know how to do this. Does the company have sufficient net income to pay off its long-term debt within 4 years?
Most important.
Does
I think honestly, I put that number one because it's one of the most important things to look at.
Well, I mean, let's read a couple more. Does the company spend less than 30% of its gross profit on selling, general, and administrative cost? Is the company's gross profit margin at 40% or better? Is the company's net income on a historical uptrend, looking at like the past 5 years? Let me see. We read a couple more of this. Is the return on total assets equal to net earnings divided by total assets? Does the company have a high percentage return? Has the company over the past 5 years shown consistent growth in earnings per share? Has the company spent a small portion of its income on capital expenditures? Go back 5 years again. Mention the 5 year thing. So using this checklist is a good idea.
Yeah.
Um,
And some of those mean more than others. The SG&A expenses, some of those companies, they may spend more than 30%, but they'll still be a buy. So that does happen, right? And that's why you're grading it. It's not a checklist that has to have everything checked on it. It's a grade, you know, A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, F, kind of thing.
yep. Yeah, I do know. And you go through the checklist and you get a clearer picture of a company because if you do the research to find out all these things about a company, you should have a clearer picture of whether or not at the end of it, this is something you want to invest in.
Exactly.
It's okay to have, maybe one spot that's not as high as the other ones. Maybe it got a grade of a C or a D, but everything else is an A, then I'm buying it, you know.
Right. Right.
So I mean, there's lots of different ways to look at companies, how to figure out, is this the right company for me? There's never just one way. And
Mhm.
I wanna make you. I've said this 1,000 times. I'm gonna say it 1,000 times and more. The guys who sit on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, with a chart behind them, and they point to the chart and say, "See this chart? This is why you want to buy it because it has a flag pattern or something." That's ridiculous.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. I mean, charts are just one tool of a whole aspect of tools that you need to be using all of them to find out whether or not you actually want to buy or sell this company.
Yeah, a lot of people use the charts because they don't want to take the time to learn how to read balance sheets.
It's a cheat that
But it
doesn't
doesn't really
work.
work. Yeah,
You might get lucky every now and then, and you think you got this figured out, but then your next trade you lose like 80%. And you're like, "What happened? The market doesn't work." Well, no, the market works. You just were going about it the wrong way.
exactly.
Got to put in the effort. You got to read the books. You got to learn the terminology so that you can talk, so you understand what people are saying and what you're reading in articles. I get a lot of my stock picks from reading lots of different articles. And then once I find something about a company, I'm like, ooh, now I look into that company more. That makes me look into that company, and then I figure out if I want to buy or sell it.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Brandon, how do you find new companies or new investments?
Same thing. Well, I use my broker a lot and screeners to look. I use those a lot. Um, I use Wall Street Journal, Barron's, Market Watch in that order. Market Watch would be my third pick. Benzinga, not at all.
Do you have a MarketWatch subscription? I dropped mine a couple years back.
I do, but that's because it comes with the Wall Street Journal and the Barron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it does. So I can use my Wall Street Journal to log in.
Yeah,
I
actually,
never knew that.
go to the website at Wall Street Journal, scroll up. Once you're logged in, you'll see the links to all three of those. And
Oh,
then Investors Business Daily is on there too, but they're not as good with the articles for some reason. They don't have as
right.
many.
So what we're saying is we do a lot of reading.
A lot of reading, a lot of research, no Benzinga, no
No,
Seeking Alpha,
Motley Fool.
no Motley Fool.
Uh, sometimes it's amusing, entertaining reads from them
Yeah,
is what I get because
clickbait
I have read a few of the articles from time to time.
and clickbait.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like stock twits. Sometimes it's entertaining, but sometimes you're just like, where are you getting this from?
Yeah. Yeah. MSN Money, I feel the same way about, which is weird because it's kind of a big company, but Yahoo Finance still does a good job.
I'm amazed at how well they do that too.
Yeah.
That's got yeah, that's crazy that everybody still every now and then uses Yahoo Finance after
Mm.
all these years.
I don't even know who owns Yahoo anymore.
I don't know,
It's been one investment after another for
right?
since the dot-com crash. But
Well, anyways, 2025 is going to be a great year. Don't rush into anything. Take your time, do your research. And Brandon, final thoughts going into this new year.
throw all your politics out the window and invest the way that me and Dave just told you how to invest on this show. I thought we were going to have a recession last year. I was wrong, but my stock still outperformed even the massive gains that the S&P 500 had. 28% last year for the S&P 500. I was at about 54 and a half. And I thought there was going to be a recession. So my ideology about economics turned out to be incorrect last year, but my portfolio still was right. So buy what's valuable.
Right? Um, man, what do I say going in 2025? Do your research. Take your time. I don't have any calls, unlike Brandon. I have things I always keep an eye on. Rig is one I currently own. RIG is a ticker symbol. The company name is Transocean. It is currently right around the price I bought it at. I believe that when they report in Q1, they're going to have a big jump up. They've had, like I said, a lot of rigs going out there. That new biggest rig in the world went out there is being leased for 3 years. Once they start reporting this income, I believe that rig will jump up, and I'm looking to make a 30-40% return off this. Now, do I have to hold it for, I even said this back when I bought it in November. I might have to hold it for a few months, and I was okay with that. It's what we call a swing trade. I'm holding it for like a quarter or two, and then I'm hoping to, you know, take my profit and move on.
Yeah.
So I'm still holding it. I'm waiting for the report to Q1, but that's one I own, and I would recommend to anybody else right now at the price it's at. If it continues moving higher, I would not. I would say you missed a boat, but rig boat. It is what it is. January barometers 85% right. I always use it. I like it to know kind of like what year we're gonna have. As far as Bitcoin this year, last year I made a prediction about Bitcoin. I will tell you this: I don't have a prediction about Bitcoin this year. It all depends upon what the Trump administration, if they come in and they live up to their promises with crypto and the crypto community. If they do that, then Bitcoin will be good. If they don't, then Bitcoin will drop. That's where I'm. It's actually unfortunately it's hinged on political movements. So that is the way it is. So that's all I got really. Let's have a great 2025. I hope to improve. I don't think I can improve percentage wise anymore. I think my percentages are going to go down from here on out unless I have really great investments here going forward. But
What do you mean?
well, if you grow your account, like let's say you have $10,000, right?
Yeah,
It's pretty easy to get a 50% return.
right.
You know, let's say you have, is it just as easy to get a 50% return when you're investing with 100,000? It should be theoretically, but is it?
No.
Or are people with that when you have that kind of money, you kind of invest differently?
You invest differently, become more protective.
So, and then as you get more and more and more, it's harder to maintain that higher percentage return.
Right.
And so I've done really
without
well with.
having significant levels of volatility.
Yes, yeah, and that becomes risky. Um, well, there is one I'm going to be putting money in that's extremely risky, extremely speculative that I was telling Brandon about before the show. But I'm putting in just a small percent, a very tiny amount of money into it because it's so risky and speculative. But the payoff could be great. So I don't invest in any real amount of money in speculative anymore. I'm past that point. So I look for longer investments like Rig, which I think were
Not,
good. No,
not
Novo
ready
Nordisk
yet.
was awesome for me last year.
So you're not ready yet to tell us what that investment's going to be because it is so risky, and I'm
It
assuming
is
you
so
don't want people to
risky. I
use.
don't want to put my name behind it. That's how risky it is.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
I'm putting in no more than I'm willing to lose all of it.
Okay,
So yeah, and if it starts to move in the direction I believe it will move, I will post about it and let people know.
which for some people that would be a down payment of a car. What you're
Yes.
willing to lose, or maybe even a house. I don't know. All right.
All right. So all right, cool. Let's look into 2025. Let's have a great year. As always, we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money, even Amber. Have a good night.
Have a good night.